aspects of dream sleep are happening inappropriately during when I'm awake. So when I was telling you about my body giving out with emotions, it's actually the same paralysis that everyone experiences at night when you enter dreams. So your body becomes paralyzed, so you don't act out your dreams at night, because it would be dangerous if we were, acting out our dreams. Well, for me, when I was experiencing emotion during the day, my brain was getting confused and thinking I was going into a dream and paralyzing me for that dream. But I was conscious. So I thought, well, this is pretty fascinating. And the hypnagogic hallucinations and sleep paralysis, those are the same. It was aspects of dream sleep that were happening when I was too conscious. And you shouldn't experience a dream and be that conscious because it felt real to me. But, it was just, and the daytime sleepiness, that was dream sleep coming out during the day. So actually at night, I didn't sleep all that well, and then during the day, I was sleepy. Well, it was about the end of my second year of law school. I was studying for exams again, and I was in the library one night, and it was around 9 p.m., and I realized I wasn't tired. And I felt nothing in my head. I was so used to feeling this weight on my skull at all times that to feel nothing felt like so bizarre, and I realized I just started crying in the library into my textbook, and I realized how far I'd come from wakefulness and lost touch with it to the point of being so extremely sleepy. And I realized that my medications were helping, and although they had the side effects and everything, they were worth it because I was regaining some wakefulness. I went on to study health law because it was personally fascinating to me, and I had to study something that, really grabbed my attention, having narcolepsy. And I moved to Washington, D.C., where I could do some health policy after I graduated. I also decided not to take the bar exam. This was really difficult for my dad, who was also a lawyer, and couldn't wait for me to follow in his footsteps. After reaching the end of law school, I just felt that I needed to do something that was more meaningful to me, and taking the traditional path just wasn't going to fulfill me quite enough. I thought I'd write a memoir about having narcolepsy. And my dad responded, "That's just a dream. You can do that later in life. That's just, not now, Julie." And I thought, well, I know quite a bit about dreaming, and I think I'm actually just going to do it now. I'm not going to wait till later in life. So I took on writing a memoir, and also, in doing this, I realized I was going to have to start speaking out about narcolepsy. Now, for the past 2 years, I kept it to myself. And although it was great to write about, and that felt very personal, I knew I was also going to have to start reaching out into the media and talking about narcolepsy. So this was different, but it felt important to me. Only a few months into moving to Washington, D.C., I got an email from one of the nonprofits saying, "Do you know of anyone that might like to run the Boston Marathon for narcolepsy research?" Well, I thought about it for like 0.2 seconds, and I hit respond, and I said, "I'll do it. I'll run the Boston Marathon for narcolepsy research." Well, I didn't know anyone else that had narcolepsy with cataplexy that had run a marathon. I didn't know if it was possible for me to do. Would the emotions cause me to collapse in the middle of, the marathon? I didn't know. But I felt like I had to try. And I also started a blog about having narcolepsy at this time. When I hit publish of that blog, that was really me coming out, where I said I am a runner, I am a yogi, all these other things, and I said, and with narcolepsy. And that was really hard for me, but I knew this was an opportunity to raise awareness as well. I thought my blog was just for my friends and family. I thought if I said on the internet that I was going to run a marathon, then I would actually have to do it, and people give you money. So that's why I did it. I didn't expect that people from all over the world were going to find my blog, people with narcolepsy, and say, "Oh my gosh, that's what happens to me." So that was a really big surprise. And I guess ultimately I realized this was really important because people with narcolepsy didn't like the perceptions, right? We felt like we were made fun of, and it wasn't, people didn't think narcolepsy, they thought it was a joke, and it wasn't. So then we hide. But then how do we change those perceptions? We're caught in this catch-22. And so by just kind of like breaking free of it and saying, here's what narcolepsy really is, I have it. Yeah, I had to deal with those misperceptions, but I also had an opportunity to change them. So I went on to run the Boston Marathon. I had cataplexy at the halfway mark when I saw my dad, because I caught eyes with him and I was so happy. So I stumbled and he saw me stumble. And when I gave him a hug, he said, "Are you sure you're okay?" And I saw, I saw the cataplexy. And I said, "No, I'm all right." I really just kept my head down. The whole Boston Marathon, there's people ready to give you high fives, give you orange slices, anything. People are there to support you. And I just kept my head down on the ground so emotions wouldn't affect me too much, and listened to my music, and ultimately finished. And crossing the finish line was really, really surreal. It felt like I was in someone else's body, because that body had been so weak and had given me so much trouble, right? So those same knees that just crossed that finish line, maybe later in the day, they don't work for me. So it was just this strange thing of feeling so strong, but having to know what it feels like to feel so weak at the same time. It was just this really awesome, proud moment. And that was really just the beginning. I increasingly got more media attention, people excited about hearing about the real narcolepsy. This is one of my favorite photos of a Japanese film crew that came for 2 days and filmed my boyfriend and my entire life recently for 2 full days, and they really wanted to see my cataplexy on camera, which was, I didn't think possible, but after 2 days of having a film crew in your studio-size apartment, I ended up having cataplexy, real, I was pretty annoyed, and they got it on camera. I haven't seen it yet. I don't want to see it. Seeing my own body convulse and collapse is just, so I'm glad it aired in Japan, and they saw it. I know I got some Twitter messages from people in Japan, they'd seen it, and that's great, but it wasn't here. Maybe someday. I also have continued to use my blog to raise a lot of awareness about narcolepsy and create a lot of resources, videos, and I've gotten involved with policy work in DC. I created the first infographic ever for narcolepsy, which is really exciting. I thought we deserved one too. And 3.5 years after starting my, little dream project, I published my memoir, Wide Awake and Dreaming. So that was really, really exciting. I also started the National Sleep Walk, an event to raise awareness about the importance of sleep. I think a lot of times we brag about not getting sleep, right? Like, oh, I pulled an all-nighter and now I'm gonna take my test. Well, I'm trying to make sleep cool. I don't know if it's possible, but I'm gonna try. And talk about the importance for our bodies, and that, if you are feeling like you're sleepy every single day, that maybe that's a sleep disorder, and to look into that.